Work session of the Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order, and join me in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Embry, Commissioner Jazinski, Commissioner Engler, Commissioner Marino, Commissioner Sweeney, Commissioner Hope.
Here.
Chairman.
Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start the meeting with general public comments. We don't have any presentations or special reports, no appointments to boards or commissions. And that brings us to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Finance Administration Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
The Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
And Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works is all set, Mr. Chair.
Oh, Intergovernmental Affairs, no administrator controller issues. A few items under new business that we will discuss. And then we'll end the meeting with general public comments and then announcements and then adjournment. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Brings us down to general public comment. Is there anyone for general public comment?
Actually, since they're in the Zoom, what they've called, yeah, it would be starting.
For the caller on Zoom, if you wish to speak for public comment, push *9 or let us know in some way.
That looks like Heidi.
Okay. Seeing no one for general public comment, we will move right along to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item is consider ratifying and placing on file the October 11th, 2024 invoice list in the amount of $1,662,931.22. The October 18, 2024 invoice list in the amount of $342,406.07. The October 25th, 2024 invoice list in the amount of $90,010.46. In the adjustment list dated October 31st, 2024. We have the three invoice lists. First one is the October 11th. These have been reviewed by many eyes a number of times, but I just want to point out a couple of the large ones on the front page, those exceeding $5,000. We do have a payment to a Municipal Risk Management Authority of $152,321.50, which is a payment for our liability and property insurance. Clark Construction, there's a September construction charges of $1,235,674.06. So that is September, and that project, as probably Heidi will make known when she comes on for the next change order, is still under budget and probably 92% or greater in completion. The last four items, Jackson County Youth Center, there's a couple of them bills there and a couple from McBride Quality Care. In total, those add up to $57,000, and those are payments directed by the court for care of juveniles in the county that need to have special handling or housing. Are there any other questions on any of the larger bills or any of the bills that are smaller but in the background of the report for the October 11th? Seeing none, we'll move on then to the October 18th. The one bill that stands out there is the Train US Incorporated of $155,000, and that is for a courthouse rooftop HVAC unit. This is a unit that we've had problems with for a while, and the courts suffered through a very hot summer with high temperatures up in the courtrooms. I do believe we still have some litigation going on dealing with that, but it decided we can't wait any longer and subject the courts to poor temperature control either in the winter or the summer. So that project is moving ahead for facilities under capital improvement. Any questions on the remaining $5,000 plus bills or any of the background bills? Seeing none, we'll move on to the October 25th list. On these, really, I don't see anything. We have Dell Marketing for $10,797.50 and another one just for under $7,000. These are for upgrades on laptop and computers and also Microsoft Office licensing. Any questions on any of those? Yes.
I know I had brought up the Quadient Finance USA Inc. vendor and the postage refill expense to the county administrators. You know, my understanding is we are looking into that to see if we are going to renew the lease on the equipment that we currently have, the machine, postage machine, and determine whether or not it's cost effective for us to utilize the CMU postal room. Just FYI, I don't know if you have reached out to anyone there. I did follow up with Linda Tice Richter. She is the contact person you would reach out to have that conversation. So okay, very good. Thank you.
So the final list is called the adjustment list, and those items that are listed here adjust some of the bills that are found in the 3 invoice list.
Okay.
And yes,
Just a real quick comment on the recycle coach. You got the $7,500, but that was through a $10,000 grant award that's going on there. I just wanted to bring that up again because that is actually from an award that the recycle facility won. So just a pass through.
County expense.
thank you. Okay, going on then to the adjustment list. Those 3 invoice lists would have some minor changes that are reflected in the adjustment list. And those changes are usually due to early payments to get a discount or early payments to avoid a late fee. And I did notice an exception. There's always a minor exception or two. On the October 25th invoice list, we have 2 vendors that had the invoice amount reduced due to inclusion of sales tax, which the county is exempt from having to pay. Other than that, we're looking at discounts and keeping away from late fees. Any questions? With that, we'll move this then to our meeting this evening.
Yeah. Our second and final item for the Finance and Administration Committee is to consider approving the prime contract change order number 28 with Clark Construction in the net credit amount of $438 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. We have with us Heidi Heinz-Kindle, who is a senior project manager for our correctional facility and sheriff's office. I'm hoping that she's able to get through to walk us through these changes.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yep. As Mr. Embry had mentioned, this is PCCO number 28, and the total cost of this is a credit of $438. We have a remaining bio balance of $45,764, and at this time we still have not touched contingency. Our total bio contingency amount remaining is $827,538. And we are about 92% complete with the project at this time. Kind of running through the list here for you. PCO number 140. This is for the visitation window at the main entry. This is for where lawyers will come in and talk to the inmates. We had the one ADA frame was mounted too high or installed too high, so we had to remove that. And we worked with our detention contractor to reuse the frame instead of buying a new frame and adjusting the frame and then setting it at the correct height. So to remove that and then reinstall that, it was an add to Conowinski of $1,306, and that was taken from buyout. The next item is PCO number 151. This is a credit of $480 to the project. Down the corridor, main corridor through the detention facility, there was several accent colors called out to be painted. We reviewed that with the sheriff and decided to not paint those, so that was a credit then of the $480. PCO number 155. This one here is for the stainless steel showers in the inmate area. So we had some conflicting information from architectural and plumbing. And architectural showed it to be block showers, and on our plumbing drawings, it showed to be stainless steel showers. With that, we had some changes that we need to do because it was all enclosed stainless steel shower, which is a better fit for in that space to help keep it clean. We had to adjust the lighting and the exhaust fans for that, which caused some work there for the electricians. And we also had additional sealants in there to caulk around that stainless steel enclosure. So we didn't have any security issues with that. With that there, that cost was a total from buyout of $5,322. The next item on the list is PCO number 175. On their drawings, we did not show that the DDC control panels had Cat 6 wires run to them. So that was something that we needed our technology contractor to provide and install. And that was an add of $1,833 that came from buyout. Our next item here is PCO number 177 that we worked with the sheriff on. At the main entry, we had 2 benches. We removed 1 bench from the entry there, and so that was a credit of $22,000 to the project. Our next item here is for PCO number 182. This is for some door gaskets in the IDF and MDF room. This is for the clean agent. So if there is a fire, the system would go off, and we do not want that to leak out of those rooms. So we need to add some gaskets in there, and that cost was $603 taken from buyout. Our next item is PCO number 187. This is in the conference room in the office area. We had on the drawings showed us that we needed to place this touch panel at about 18 inches above floor. Obviously, you don't want a panel there. So during construction, in the masonry walls, it was set there at the 18 inches. So what we did is we moved it to the drywall wall so we could easily access that and run conduit down instead of trying to cut into a grouted block masonry wall. And it actually was a better fit because it was there next to the podium. So that was a cost to the electrician of $448. And that was also taken from buyout. Our next item is PCO number 188. This one here, the door hardware. When we were reviewing it, we missed this one. We had a door handle that was missing from the hardware set. And that was on the employee entry side in the vestibule there. So we needed to add a pole there. That was an add of $456 to Konowitsky and taken from buyout. Our next item is PCO number 190. This is a credit to the project. Reviewed with the sheriff here. In the exercise room in the pod area that there we had a cane screen, which is a kind of a wired heavy duty mesh over the louver opening in the area. So because it is so high, we talked to the sheriff if he wanted that. He elected not to install. So that was a credit to the project of $4,510. Our next item was PCO number 191. This was a request by the sheriff to add additional cameras to, or licenses for the cameras to the sheriff and under sheriff's office. We currently, with the project, had 2 included, but this is so that the sheriff, under sheriff, the jail administrator and assistant jail administrator at any time can review those cameras. So they don't have to work with each other on who can be on that. So that was an add of $1,307. And then the last item here is we worked with the sheriff on changing a different manufacturer for pass-through drawers at the main entry, and then also at the control center there, right off the main lobby. And that was a credit by changing the manufacturer $4,523. So that resulted in a total credit of $438 to the project. So, any questions?
Project manager. Thank you very much, Heidi.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, just a comment. With the project nearing completion, I know we have set Wednesday, December 4th at 2 o'clock for a ribbon cutting ceremony. And this is a project that's been 8 years in the making, a lot of consideration. The focus has been on the cost of that, but there's always a number of reasons that you go into a large project. And the county board has put a lot of time and effort gathering facts and coming to a facility that's going to serve the county well for decades into the future. So we thank all the members of the county board present and in the past, and also for Clark Construction to move this project along and still have it under budget.
Myself again, Sheriff Maine. And thank you, sir, to you and your team for the constant focus on reworking things to save money for the county, sir. You've been so diligent about this from day one that I've been involved with this project. So again, thank you to you and your team. Thank you very much, sir. Hearing no others. Oh, we have one here.
Just want to throw in thanks to our facility director also, working with Sheriff Maine, and
Exactly.
we've taken a lot of grief over this, but to come under budget and to stay on top of this is really good.
Really impressive. Very good. Anyone else?
Moving that on then,
Let's move this on to our regular board session here at 7 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. And that will bring us to Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Okay, Chairperson Hope, we have one item. Consider approving the quote from Space in the amount of $256,782.98 for furniture at the Isabella County Sheriff's Office and Correctional Facility. Sheriff Maine here to walk us through the expense.
This is the same pot of money that we've been talking about that was allocated from the beginning on our side for these type of things. This is the big one. This is the furniture. We kind of been holding off. We worked with Space, which is a My Deal company, since the beginning of this project. I can't even tell you how many times we went through all of the documents and the drawings and the rooms. We've changed it, seems like 1,000 times to get it down to fine tune exactly what we need and what's appropriate. One of the things that's worth noting, our current building, we have not purchased any new furniture for the last few years, knowing this was coming. And have you been in the building at all, you'll see the wear and tear and where it's at. And a lot of the stuff we have is casework, so not a lot of that stuff can come with us. It's built in. So this is the desks, the filing cabinets that we would need, whatever, that kind of stuff, the chairs and so forth. So I guess the most important thing about this is the timeliness. We've been sitting on this, and then last week I was notified that the prices were all going up, and they would go up by the 1st of December. And I'm like, or I'm sorry, 1st of November. And I'm like, whoop, hold the brakes. You know, we don't want that to happen. So we were able to work with Clark and with Space. They are holding this number until tomorrow morning for us. So they held it for 6 days because I explained the the timeframe that we utilize for the Board of Commission and the meetings and the Criminal Justice Committee and so forth. This number is probably going to go down slightly. I don't expect it to go down greatly, but we still have some threads and things we were looking at for a couple chairs, and they were pretty confident when we selected the end result, it will come down some. I don't think it's going to come down by tens of thousands, but maybe a few thousand here or there. So it's going to be this amount and or less when we finalize this. And they were waiting for some costs on a couple of threads. So 50% down to get moving. It is timely for the ordering to get there. I know Heidi wanted me to come out today and talk about occupancy and things where we can start putting stuff, but had some other things going on today, so we've been a little tied up today. But hopefully in the next, couple days, we can figure out when we can get that stuff coming in. And I do know some of the things we've been ordering, like you approved some TVs here a few weeks ago. That stuff's all starting to come in, which we need to get mounted and so forth for the inmates and the monitors and things like that. So I'm not sure if I have any other comments to make other than there is a small chunk of money left in there, around $24,000 roughly. So we do have a couple little things. We're going to need some sort of lawnmower. If you've been out there, the grass is growing like crazy. And then we still have a lift issue that we got to get for facilities to make sure they can safely get up there. And I think we should have enough funds with that to kind of accomplish those goals, I'm hoping. So.
Sheriff, I know in committee, we had discussed if we had to go into storage. There was a comment in the contract about a charge for storage, and you were going to clarify that with space.
I appreciate that, Commissioner, for reminding me. We are shipping it directly to our site. So there's no storage, they're not holding any additional, so it comes directly to us.
Great. And I'll just remind everyone that, so this is the pot of money, 500,000 that we had set aside for furniture and monitors and things that we'd purchase ourselves, so we didn't have to pay taxes on them and save that money. So this has always been set aside for this since the start of the project. Any other questions? All right, we'll move this on to tonight's regular session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. That completes work of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioners. Brings us to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first item is consider approving Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Purchase of Service Provider Agreement, along with the addendums and the Business Associate Agreement, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Jennifer Crawford, Director of Isabella County Commission on Aging, here to break this down for us. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi there. So the purchase of service provider agreement with Region 7 Area Agency on Aging is actually the waiver program. And so we've been in agreement or in contract with them since 1999, providing these services. And what this does is if somebody qualifies for the waiver program, it means that they need a higher level of care than what we're able to provide. They actually qualify for nursing home. They have to qualify for nursing home level care. And so then they go through a waiver program, they get referred to a waiver program, which they have case managers and nurses that go out and care for the individuals. And then they will reach out to organizations in the community that that person lives in to see if we could help supplement some of the services. So primarily what we do through the waiver is our home delivered meal program. We provide those meals to those waiver clients. If they get in a bind and need help with personal care, or house or homemaking, we can also help with that if we're available or have staffing available. So in last year, in fiscal year 24, we brought in just a little over $16,000 in reimbursement from providing these services. So, I mean, it helps us, but it also helps residents in our community that we're not directly managing their care, but we can still provide services to them. So this would be the contract for that.
Any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, move to the next item.
Okay, our next item, consider approving the delinquent water bill roll as submitted by the Board of Public Works, which constitutes delinquent service charges for as of 6 months or more as for September 1st, 2024, the properties within Lake Isabella Forestry Number 2 subdivision, Village of Lake Isabella, Township of Sherman, County of Isabella, State of Michigan, and therefore constitute the lien on the property as provided by the County of Isabella Ordinance Number 1, 1975. And we have nobody here to report. We talked to
Mike.
I
Oh.
know. Well, Mike was here at committee, Mike
Mhm.
Lounsbury. He mentioned he called administration today and said he'd be unable to attend. We encouraged someone from Drains to attend. I don't know if that's maybe who's on the call.
Oh,
So give them an opportunity maybe, but I can speak to it or, okay,
Ag
great.
to it.
Great.
Um,
Oh,
thi-
they do have their hand raised
on.
now. So, I'm guessing they are from the drain office, otherwise they wouldn't have raised their hand. Yes.
Can you
Are you
guys
there?
hear me?
Hello.
Hi, this is Mike Lounsbury from the drain office.
All right, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
So, yeah, that bullet number pretty much sums everything up. It's pretty straightforward. We do this every year. This year's amount is $10,153.44. That's spread over 35 accounts out there at that system.
Thanks, Mike. This is actually lower than last year, and this just allows us to go forward and actually do our business and put the lien on and try to collect our taxes.
Which is good
Correct.
because as we all know, we're catching up on the billings out there. And so to have less delinquents or, less amount of
It's
delinquents.
been
is a great
going down
sign.
year after year, so it's a good thing. Any questions?
I'll just say that in the past, a lot of those delinquent bills were for vacant lots. And it was the service fee to have the water there in red.
Okay. No more questions. We'll move that on to tonight's session.
Question over here.
Just a separate discussion, not to deal, kind of dealing with this subject, but we've been dealing with the water issue out at Lake Isabella. Do you think it's time maybe in the future, maybe to do a special committee to look into doing something with that? I mean, this seems to be an issue every year and we say we need to look at it, but maybe going forward, something next year to get some people on that to look into maybe pushing that forward because it just seems to be a liability to the county. Just a comment.
I think you already have that. I think your Board of Public Works has already developed a subcommittee of that board to
Okay.
look into it. So probably the next best step would be,
Or
yep, have them come to have a discussion at probably HR committee.
February meeting or something.
Very much, Mike.
Yep.
Okay. Our last item, is consider approving Renewable Ready Communities Grant Agreement in the awarded amount of $375,000 between Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy and Isabella County, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Tim Neoport, Community Development Director, here to break it down for us. Hi, Tim.
Hi there, good evening.
Oh.
This is kind of a short and sweet, and you've covered most of it, Commissioner, but this is a renewable ready award grant from the state of Michigan. State of Michigan established a grant program, I believe initiating $20 million to communities who were renewable ready and who would be working towards renewable projects. Gosh, I can't even remember the month. We just approved a few months back this solar project, the Mission Road Solar Project. We did move that forward to Eagle for approval or for a granting possibility. They did award us the grant. The grant is for a total of $2,500 per megawatt of power for the solar project. That's to Isabella County. Isabella Township was also awarded a $2,500 as a hosting community per megawatt of power for $375,000. So total of $750 here to the community. $375,000 of that will be to Isabella County. The dollars are to be used towards renewable energy projects. This project we have slated for solar on the roof of the county building, the 200 North Main Street building, to tie in with our HVAC system and our new mechanical systems that'll be in the new building as the rebuild comes. So this is an award of $375,000 that we're all happy to receive, and we're just looking for you to authorize chairman to sign the paperwork.
I just,
Ready, pen is ready.
and I just wanted to say that we really owe a lot to you, Tim, and your folks and the planning commission for setting all these things up. So when the Eagle looked around, they saw that we already had the ordinances and all that's done. And so thank you so much.
Been able to, over the years, move many of our projects forward because of being ready. I mean, we established language for wind back in 2008, approved a project in 2019. We established solar language, I believe it was 2017, and here we are in 2024, you know, approving that project. There's other projects to come with regard to battery storage and some other projects that we're excited for.
That sounds real exciting. Any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner.
I've got a question you may not be able to answer, but when I drive between my forest property up in Clare County, I look at the new solar installation and the collectors are facing west. I used to have solar in my home in Manistee many years ago, and it was, you face it south because that's where the sun is at. Do you know why?
Yeah, even the ones here in Isabella, if you notice the ones on the east side of the highway, they currently are not being utilized because we're in construction. They're facing west. They rotate fully from the east to the west, and they capture the sun in an east-westerly direction. It's not the having to follow the inclination of the sun to the southwest, southeast anymore. They can face them due east and west, and they'll collect the same amount of sun.
Wow.
They have that much articulation that they can turn.
Rotate, I think
90
they'll
degrees.
rotate fully 90 degrees to
Okay.
the east and rotate back over 180 degrees facing to the west.
Good to have the information. Now I can get back to a couple constituents.
Those are the ones we have here. Speaking to the Claire ones, I'm not sure, but I assume they're the same.
No, the
Technology's
ones I'm
moving in that
referring to, the
direction.
ones that were installed here in this county. So thank you.
Yeah, I've been told by Gladwin Committee commissioners they're getting quite big solar farms there. Really, really big. They're very happy about the revenue coming in and the effect on the environment and climate change. Any other questions or comments at this time? Thank you
Very much.
Thank you.
That will conclude the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen. And that will bring us down to new business. In item A, discussion regarding the October 15th, 2024 complaint received from Ms. Bree Mogenberg regarding commissioner conduct. The complaint was made publicly during public comment. Also gave us a written complaint. But because the complaint was made publicly, it seemed appropriate to address it publicly. And so what I'll do now to kind of bring everyone up to speed, I'll try to summarize her written complaint. And she starts out by listing a litany of complaints about the board, but it gets down to, boils it down to this. It says, I will focus here on concerns that are directly related to the upcoming election. It is my specific complaint that the current Isabella County Commissioners, Jerry Jelazinski, Christopher Embry, and Frank Engler have violated MCL 169.257 and Isabella County Personnel Policies, AA Political Policies. And then she talks about the primary and some of the stuff going on in the local Republican Party, which is not of any concern to me. And then gets down to this part, Terry Hutchinson lost Republican primary to Stephen Weber, and Christopher Embry lost Republican primary to Bob Campbell. More stuff about the local party. And then this has not only been a concern for the Republican Party, to protect the party candidates. And as I've said, this part isn't really of much concern to me. But this next part is where she states, but beyond the political affiliation, it has now become a concerning use of taxpayer dollars. And what she's alleging here is that while elected officials not only have every right to run as a candidate in an upcoming election, as they often do, they do not have the right to use taxpayer dollars to fund or promote their campaign. And as evidence, County Commissioner Jerry Jelzinski stated during announcements, speaking to Chris Embry, stayed glad to see the article announcing your run as a write-in candidate for District 2. I think you're an excellent commissioner and I hope you come out on top. We'll give it the best shot. And then Chris Embry responds, we're going to give it the best shot. These were direct statements. Further evidence for the clarity of such statements is found in a letter to the editor that was in the Morning Sun. Again, this part isn't of too much concern to me. Commissioners have every right to write to the Morning Sun if they so choose. But the feeling there was that it was an inappropriate use of taxpayer funds to make these kind of comments in a public meeting. Hold on to that thought. We'll get to that. We do have a legal opinion on this. And then she talks about mileage reimbursements regarding vehicle use at meetings, have concerns to question Frank Engler as he has a campaign sign on his vehicle. If brought to the county commission meetings where he is working in his capacity as a county commissioner. Further concern with this is whether or not this vehicle is provided mileage reimbursement. And I can tell you, as chair, I approve mileage reimbursements. We saw one from Frank Engler last year for $106. I've not seen any this year. Jelzinski in 8 years has turned in mileage reimbursements for just over $1,000, $1,019. Chris Embry, since he's been on, has turned in receipts for $693. Commissioner Embry travels to Saginaw for the Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works Workforce Development Board. And so that's a legitimate use of expense, and he turns in those expense sheets, and I approve them. Mr. Jelzinski has traveled to the Northern Michigan Counties Association, and also Mid-State Health Network meetings in Lansing. So over 8 years, he's averaged a little over $200 a year in mileage reimbursements. We don't turn in mileage reimbursements for committee meetings, township meetings, anything within the county. Just don't. If we're traveling outside of the county, then typically, yes, we do. So just to clarify that, and our legal opinion further clarifies whether that's even an issue or not, but it was brought up here, so. And then she goes on to list MCL section 169.257 that she feels was violated. It goes on, but it does state in that provision that the law does not prohibit an employee from voting as he chooses or from expressing his individual opinion on political subjects and candidates. So I don't know if I did justice to her complaint or not, but I think that's the gist of it, is that she's saying if these commissioners are getting mileage reimbursements, they shouldn't be endorsing particular candidates during a public meeting. So we sought out a legal opinion. And that came back. I have reviewed the complaint from Ms. Mogenberg in which she alleges that two county commissioners violated section 57 of the Michigan Campaign Finance Act by using public resources to make a contribution expenditure in support of a candidate for a political office. She also complains of third commissioner's violation of the county policy prohibiting partisan political activity by county employees whose positions are federally funded, i.e. the Hatch Act, and prohibiting the display of political signs on county property. The complaint is that while participating in a county committee meeting, the two commissioners expressed support for another candidate for political office, and that a third commissioner displayed a political sign attached to his personal vehicle. The complaint viewed these incidents as violative of section 57 of the MCFA and/or county policy because A, the statements of support were made while commissioners were serving in their official capacity as elected county officials during a business meeting and thus using county resources to express their opinions. And B, they were paid county funds for mileage reimbursement for vehicle expenses to attend the meeting. I've already addressed that part of it. The complaint fails to mention that there are exceptions to the prohibitions contained in section 57 of the MCFA MCL 169.257 generally prohibits a public body or a person acting for a public body from using or authorizing the use of funds, personnel, office space, computer hardware or software, property, stationery, postage, vehicles, equipment, supplies, or other public resources to make a contribution or expenditure. However, this subsection does not apply to any of the following: the expression of views by an elected or appointed public official who has policy-making responsibilities. There is yet another exception for public officials and employees who are acting on their own time, expressing their own personal views, and expending their own personal funds, MCL 169.257. The statements that are the subject of the complaint were the personal views of the commissioners, and even though made during a county committee meeting, did not constitute a violation of the MCFA, regardless of whether the commissioners were paid county funds for their attendance at the meeting or mileage to travel to the meeting. And let me just stop right there and say, we don't receive stipends for meetings. Receive an annual stipend of either 7,000 or 7,500, depending on the district. So placement of a political sign on a commissioner's personal vehicle is not a violation of the MCFA or the county policy, even if the vehicle were parked in the county parking lot and the commissioner was reimbursed mileage to attend the meeting. Even so, a complaint of violation under MCFA is not properly a matter before the County Board of Commissioners nor the County Election Commission. Rather, it is more directed to the Michigan Secretary of State pursuant to MCL 169.215. The County Board of Commissioners may consider a complaint of violation of county policy and refer the matter to the county administrator or a committee for review and report and recommendation. Here, however, would not appear to us, based on the information provided, to violate the county policy, as the elected officials were merely expressing their own personal political opinions, and the sign was alleged to have been displayed on an elected official's personal vehicle. So that pretty much wraps it up. We sent a letter to the complainant stating that we would address her complaint this evening. may possibly refer it for further investigation, but that is entirely up to this board whether we take this any further or if we just leave it right there. We do have a legal opinion that says doesn't think any laws were violated. And if they were, it's not a matter for us, it's a matter for the Secretary of State. And that no county policy was violated, so. Anyone else want to chime in on this?
I want to say that, since I've been on the board since 2009, January 1st, 2019, commissioners have rarely submitted for reimbursement for a lot of things that we do. And many of the commissioners have given a lot more than we receive back monetarily, certainly, especially in time. And I think that this matter was brought up probably a little bit politically, and I would like to see the board just put it to rest here and not even address this constituent directly anymore.
So I did read the article in the newspaper after the complaint was made at the last work session. And I was quoted as saying, I was angry. I think I used a word that my wife said I shouldn't use, but I was angry. And the fact that I did resign from the Republican Party. I did not resign from the Republican Party. I misspoke. I resigned from the local party. And so I did write a response to clarify this for my friends and constituents. And I'm going to read this aloud. I gave a copy to Clerk Lux, and as privilege of County Board Commissioner in the bylaws, I ask that this be put in verbatim in the minutes, and I will send you an electronic copy. I know it's there. We'll share it. And the other thing I did do is I sent this in advance to Ms. Field at the Morning Sun, so that if she does an article on it, because I think this is going to be somewhat inflammatory to some people, that it is quoted accurately if it appears to the paper. My response. Take a drink here, wet my whistle, because this is like 5 pages long. Bree Muggenberg's appearance before the county board at its work session on October 29th had nothing to do with campaign law violations or violations of Isabella County policy. It had everything to do with the continuing vendetta against me and Commissioners Chris Embry and Frank Engler. Our crime is simply our support of Chris Embry's write-in campaign for County Commissioner District 2. In making unsubstantiated and false charges right before the November 5th general election, she intended to harm our reputations as county public officials and also influence the November 5th vote against Commissioners Embry and Engler. There was no running against me in District 3, but that didn't make me any less of a target. Why do I feel this is true? First, I will present a confrontation with the Isabella County Republican Committee, which I firmly believe was orchestrated by Bree Muggenberg and her small group of vocal supporters. Second, I will briefly respond to each of Muggenberg's unsubstantiated charges with facts, something she should have done before accusing anyone of wrongdoing. The Isabella County Republican Committee incident. Shortly following my October 11th Morning Sun letter to the editor, endorsement of Commissioner Embry's District 2 write-in campaign, I was notified that an emergency special meeting of the Isabella County Executive Committee was being called for me to answer to charges of causing injury to the party. I was informed that I faced possible expulsion from the county party and forfeiture of all associated rights and privileges. It didn't matter that for more than 10 years, I've been a loyal member of the executive committee and county party, paid annual dues, premium dues, and volunteered time to set up and help staff the party headquarters. What I was accused of didn't violate party bylaws, so it became necessary to find an actionable cause in Robert's Rules of Order to proceed with the hearing. My crime was simply to exercise my constitutional rights under the First Amendment to support and work on behalf of another Republican, District 2 write-in candidate, Commissioner Chris Embry. I admit I did, upon invitation of the Isabella County Democratic Party, both Commissioner Embry and I attended the party meeting for the sole purpose of obtaining the support of Democrat voters residing in District 2. This is how elections are won. The special meeting of the Isabella County Republican Executive Committee was scheduled on the first day of my planned 2-week vacation. The committee did allow me to phone into the meeting to make a personal statement. I did so, but was not allowed to be present for the balance of the meeting. I was not allowed to face my accusers or to defend myself from statements made against me. A member of the committee present informed me that after I hung up, Bree Muggenberg and others were allowed to press their case against me for the next 2 hours. Unbalanced justice is no justice. The humiliation I've been subjected to should never have happened. Neither Commissioner Embry or I did anything to harm the Republican Party. The executive committee member and the apparent continuing discussion on how to deal with my transgression is really irrelevant to me as a dedicated Republican. Punishment, regardless of how significant or minor, will not make me a better or worse Republican. My Republican values come from personal held beliefs and convictions, not from membership in a local party organization. I am troubled that the Isabella County Republican Executive Committee is so willing to intimidate and punish a member for simply exercising rights granted by the U.S. Constitution. With sadness that comes from parting with a friend, I subsequently resigned from the Isabella County Republican Committee. One more moderate Republican fed up with the craziness going on. Fact-checking Bree Muggenberg's complaints. Complaint 1, using taxpayer dollars, including travel county allowances to support candidates and campaigns. My response: first, no one other than myself has sought election to the District 3 seat, either in the primary or general election in 4 years. Therefore, I have limited my campaign activities to only a couple of annual events, all associated costs, none of which exceeded campaign law reporting requirements, have been personally paid by me. As for county travel reimbursement payments, if Bree Muggenberg had checked before implying that I'd used taxpayer dollars to finance campaign activities, she would have discovered the following. Only one travel mileage request was submitted by me in 2024. On April 10th, 2024, I and one other county representative to the Michigan State University Extension District Board Advisory Board traveled together to Harrison, Michigan to attend a scheduled meeting. I used my personal vehicle to transport both of us. I was reimbursed $54.40 by the county for the 81.2 mile round trip distance. I personally attend 100 to 150 meetings a year as a county board commissioner. The majority of these meetings are required attendance. The balance are township, village, chamber of commerce, and citizen requested meetings that are important to attend for the purpose of exchanging information with my constituents. During the 10 years I've served on the Board of Commissioners, other than for this distant out-of-county meeting assignments, I have never charged travel costs to the county. As a county board commissioner, I received $7,500 pay a year. I donated every dollar of that amount, actually more, to local charities to give back to the residents of Isabella County. The complaint of unlawful use of tax dollars for political or any fraudulent purpose is without merit. Complaint 2, unlawful statements, actions by public officials or in support of political candidates. Bree Muggenberg cited relevant federal, state statutes, and county policy to augment her complaints. She later concludes, while I am not an attorney and not fully knowledgeable of the law or how it pertains, I sincerely request that you begin the review of this complaint for any necessary violations and penalties as it relates to Isabella County Commissioner Jerry Jalzinski, Christopher Embry, and Frank Engler. Bree Muggenberg and her supporters have been presenting election interference theories to township boards and the County Board of Commissioners for several years. It is curious that after years of positioning herself as a protector of election integrity, she is now an advocate for suppression of constitutional First Amendment rights of free speech as it relates to public political elections. It is unlawful to use taxpayer dollars or resources to advocate for ballot proposals and political candidates. As county political officials, we do need to be careful not to violate the law or county policy. Bree Muggenberg cited 3 examples of potential violations. They are: 1, comments made during announcement at a recent meeting of the Finance and Administration Committee. I admit to commenting on a Morning Sun article announcing candidates for the District 2 Commissioner race. The article identified Commissioner Embry as a write-in candidate and Bob Campbell as the Republican ballot candidate. While my comment did encourage Commissioner Embry to do his best, I did not endorse his campaign at this time. If I had a do-over opportunity, my comment should have been made after the Finance and Administration Committee meeting than in the closing announcement segment of the agenda. However, it would be a difficult argument to prove my comments violated any relevant campaign laws or constituted unlawful use of taxpayer dollars. Number 2, my letter to the editor in the October 11th Morning Sun publication. My letter is protected under constitutional First Amendment free speech rights. The letter was produced at home on my personal computer and during my personal time. If it is unlawful for politicians to endorse candidates for public office, charges need to be made against Presidents Biden and Trump and so on down the political chain of command. It is a common and lawful practice. No violation of election laws here. Use of a campaign sign on a personal vehicle. It's almost over. This complaint was made against Commissioner Frank Engler, who displayed a campaign sign on his personal vehicle while attending county meetings at the Commission on Aging. The sign display was not a violation of any federal or state political campaign law. Commissioner Frank Engler is an honorable and decent individual who would never knowingly violate any law or county policy. Commissioner Engler discontinued displaying the sign on his vehicle before the start of the 9-day early voting held at the Commission on Aging as required by law. In conclusion, it is my belief Bree Muggenberg's complaints are without merit. The complaints were made to purposefully diminish the integrity of 3 members of the Board of Commissioners and influence today's general election results. The complaints were made in a subjective manner devoid of qualified analysis. I would recommend no further action be taken on the complaints. Bree Muggenberg has the option to take her complaints directly to the Michigan Secretary of State, which is the correct authority to present her complaints of federal and state election law violations. The only other thing I would mention that's not a part of this narrative, if you look at Bree Muggenberg's Facebook page, you'll see these lists of charges that they're ridiculous, but and I was going to bring it to read some verbatim, but she accuses the county board of wasteful spending. I'm going to find out what the legal opinion costs. And these things are not cheap. But once I do, I'm going to report what her frivolous complaint costs the county to be able to respond to her complaint in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am finished.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Our clerk in her diligence has handed us a copy of the bylaws. And it does say that a commissioner may request through the chairperson the privilege of having an abstract of his/her statement on any subject under consideration by the commission entered in the minutes. Such a statement shall be entered in the minutes. So in other words, we need a formal motion in order to enter that into the minutes.
I'll move that.
Support.
Been supported. All those in favor, should we do a roll call on? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Say nay. Okay. We'll enter that into the minutes. Nope. Oh, yeah, thank you for looking that up. Appreciate it. So, and I do want to state that I will always defend this person's right to make complaints or public comment. And I don't want to discourage people from doing that. The complaint was made publicly, so we dealt with it publicly. I don't harbor any ill will towards this person. She's has a right to come and speak and say whatever she wants. And like I said, I will always defend that. I need to know a couple things from this board. One, if there's anyone else that wants to speak on the issue, and then two, whether this board wants to pursue this complaint any further. So we'll take the first one first. Yes, sir.
I don't think there's a member of this board use their power. And it's a shame. And if you just knew how much energy and how many meetings and what Chris Embry has gone through, what Frank Engler has gone through, and Jerry Jelezinski, and then to have somebody come to this board and belittle it. And it's like, I mean, he's done more for the MRF. He's done more for that sheriff's office. He's done, I mean, these two men in the finance committee, it's, people don't realize how much time and effort we've all put into this. And to make comments like that there's people out there that, and I seen it in my district, I think worse than ever this year, where I went to township meetings, got up to just give information. That's all I was there for, to give information, and to be yelled at, to be swore at, to, you know, we're done. No, is just ridiculous. Everybody has the rights and to think the way they want. But there's certain people out there that are trying to influence the election, and shame on them. I mean, to be in a county like this, and we've got 4 Republicans, 3 Democrats, we work great together, and to try to influence elections. And believe me, she tried to influence this election. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. But like I say, these gentlemen have done nothing wrong, and for her to bring up is just frivolous. Thank you.
Mr. Engler.
Yeah, sure. As you guys know, I was complaining about my tractor blowing up in the middle of the field this year. And a lot of stuff we do in farming, and that we run into these problems. And my philosophy has always been, let's focus on solutions. So I would like to leave this in the past and focus. We got so much work to do that I just really think that to waste time on frivolous matters like this, I think I said, we got a lot of work ahead of us going forward. We'll see what the election brings, if I'm here tomorrow or not. But yeah, so like I said, we got so much work to do. I said, to focus on the solutions and getting things done. So, and that's where I stand on this. And we have a good group here that works hard together. So yeah, I think that's where my focus is going to be.
Good. I'm not hearing anyone bring up a motion that we need to dive into this any further. So I'm going to assume that the board would like to move on from this issue, as Commissioner Engler just stated. I will say that this person addressed the board respectfully, and she always does, and I appreciate that. We made the complaint publicly, so we addressed it publicly, as I said earlier. So we will move on from that. Item B under new business is consider scheduling an Isabella County Board of Commissioners special meeting for the purpose of reviewing applications for the Administrator Controller position on Friday, November 8th, 2024 at 3 p.m. as an in-person meeting at the Isabella County Emergency Operations Center located at 2008 East Preston Street, Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
That's good.
So tonight we'll have a formal motion to set that on the calendar. The meeting probably, we do have candidates that have requested anonymity. So we will probably go into closed session for most of the meeting to discuss the candidates.
Okay.
Any questions on that? All right, item C under new business, consider scheduling an Isabella County Board of Commissioners special meeting for the purpose of holding interviews for the administrative controller position on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 at 3 p.m. as an in-person meeting at the Isabella County Commission on Aging, Room A, located at 2200 South Lincoln Road. So again, we will formally consider that this evening and place it on the calendar if we decide to do that. So any thoughts on that? Okay. Brings us down to general public comment. Yes, sir.
Hate to do this. One item that needs clarification on something, and it has to do with my district. We've talked earlier about changing the fee structure. There's going to be we're going to be lame ducks, some of us after here. Do we have to make a motion to change the fee structure? I would like to see my district, currently it's at 7,500, and to go down to 700 or 7,000 with the rest, or does that have to be a motion, or should that be done before the election just for looks or not? I know we can't do it after.
It's already done.
It's already done, so we don't have to vote on it.
Your budget resolution. In your budget resolution,
Okay.
districts,
So we,
1,
okay,
2, 3,
we voted for the budget, it
4,
was automatic.
we're set at,
Okay.
I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, we're set at 7,500. 4, 5, 6, 7, we're set at 7,000. Chairperson gets an extra 500. So that's what it is in budget resolution, and that's for your salary starting January 1.
Just because my district changed during the redistricting, and then it's.
And we
travel
didn't
is
change
never
it back
there,
then.
so, okay. I just wanted to make sure that was in there. It was the proper time, so that's all I have.
All set.
Okay.
Now brings us down to general public comment. Anyone for general public comment?
Anyone online?
No one for general public comment. Announcements. Any announcements?
I do. Last month on October 28th, I attended the Health and Human Services Committee meeting of the MAC. And we got a briefing from Samantha Gibson, our government affairs person in MAC. She mentioned that, I'd like to give you some notes that I took there. She mentioned that going to be 100 bills that they're going to try and pass, and that's going to be in 9 days. So wow. It's going to be frantic. But anyway, and so she wanted to point out some of the ones that had priorities from MAC. And the first one was minimum staffing legislation. This deals with Public Act 312, and the sheriff and deputies will know what I'm talking about. What the intention of that is to make mandatory the negotiations done with bargaining units for minimum staffing. And it's been in the House. It was passed last November, and wanted to pass in lame duck. Problematic because deputies and already have hard times filling their staff, and This would be an added burden if it was always had to be subjected to union bargaining, to be having minimum staffing. The suggestion was made that the state should be prioritizing funding so we can have recruitment and retainment of people already, not this. So it's opposed also by the Sheriff's Association. And yeah, it's mandatory overtime would be the result if that came into be a law. Also, the next part, apparently sponsor is Representative Hasma, and there is bipartisan support. The next item that she talked about was wrongful convictions and DNA retention. It's sponsored by Representative Hope and Representative Andrews in the House, and Senator Chang and Senator Irwin in the Senate. And what it talks about is already there's a law that rules what happens when someone was wrongfully accused of a crime and they appeal that, and the state has to pay $50,000 for every year that you were wrongfully convicted. That's already the law as it is, but that there is the amending statute would be that after someone has made, this is not law now, but this is what might be passing in lame duck. They want it to be so that if a person makes a claim that within 60 days, a prosecuting attorney needs to respond to the appeal in a timely manner. And so that's what's being proposed in lame duck. Like I said, the first part was already in law about the 50,000 compensation for each year wrongly convicted. Okay, and let's see. The second part is about DNA testing and DNA storage. And that would be amended to say that the DNA evidence surrounding and illustrating the wrongful conviction would have to be kept by counties in perpetuity. In other words, forever. And so that brings up a lot of things like the cost of storage, where there will be storage, and hopefully there was a suggestion made that possibly it would be stored at the Michigan State Police, because otherwise it would be a unfunded burden and unfunded mandate on counties for us to keep those records for 50 or 60 years or whatever it was. So, you know, we are being asked to make sure that our lawmakers know that we really don't want to have this done at this time, especially since there's only 8 days, and these are these are measures that would be seriously changing the way we do things in our government. So the goal is to make sure that these don't happen in lame duck, because it's not a time for great deliberation or anything like that. The next part is another one. This one is about government immunity around criminal sexual conduct, statute of limitations. Now, there had been part of this bill in the House already passed, but in the Senate, they're going to come up with another bill, which is going to be not the same as the House bill. The House bill keeps the government immunity, but the Senate one doesn't have that. It includes, it takes our immunity that we already have away, and also it has no statute of limitations. So that's kind of another weighty thing that we really, Mac and lots of the commissioners really don't want to be decided at this time, when some people won't even be coming back, so they really wouldn't be responsible for their votes, really, or accountable, I should say, accountable. Okay, then the last one is the one we always want to talk about, which is the Revenue Sharing Trust Fund, which passed in the House last November with a vote of 106 to 4 votes. So it's really supported a lot. But it hasn't been finalized. And Senator McBroom, one of the big sponsors, says that both Revenue Sharing Trust Fund, which will provide a stable source of funding for our revenue sharing, and it is kind of tied to how the economy is going in Michigan. So if the economy goes up, it's good. If it goes down, there'll be less revenue sharing coming to us. But like I said, Senator McBroom said that he thinks that both the Revenue Sharing Trust Fund and the Veteran Property Tax Exemption will pass in lame duck. So what I'm going to do is pass these concerns on to Senator Hulk and express to him my feelings about this, and hopefully everybody here will, and hearing this, will contact their lawmakers to give their 2 cents into this. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Yes, sir.
Not really an announcement. I know we're going to be losing our county administrator early in December. And I just want to make sure we don't lose this off the radar. We have our ARPA funds that we have to commit this year. And in the change of losing one administrator and bringing a new one on, I think we have to commit that by December 31st. I want to make sure we do that because I think we have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the balance. So just bringing that up to make sure we don't lose sight of that.
On the top 10 list.
Thought it might be.
We will be discussing it at our next finance committee meeting.
Yep. Okay, any other announcements? I have a couple. Well, one, if I voted 9 days ago, but if you haven't voted yet, you've got an hour and 40 minutes. And also I want to remind commissioners and staff, Michelle's retirement party is November 7th. That's Thursday. This Thursday, right here, 11:30 to 2 p.m. Michelle's been with us as our IT director for 35 years.
Well done.
And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 6:17.